Hi, hey, hello. Forgive the AC. I feel like I'm gonna have to say this in every video I ever make going forth for a hot minute. Oh, now it turns off. But I was like, again, I live in Texas and it's summertime. And to turn off my AC, then to turn it back on would just require so much work for the AC unit amidst what's going outside that it's just not worth risking breaking it. So unfortunately, you're just gonna have to hear the hum. It did just turn off now. But again, hi, hello. Why are we here? We're doing our mid-year tag. So if you don't know, the mid-year tag is where people who are in the bookish space, read books, enjoy books, answer a set of questions about their current reading progress through the year. I think originally there were a set of questions that everybody used, and I think now that it's gone on for so long, from what I seem to glean from sort of being in the bookish space, that people have added and subtracted and modified the questions to their heart's desires. So I am just going to answer the 15 questions that I answered in my last year's one. Is one of the very first videos I posted. So that's where we begin. The first question is, what is your favorite book? I don't currently have a favorite book of 2025. My reading year has not been going great. I blame the state of the world, and also since this is my 4th year really reading, that I feel like when you first become a reader, there are a set of books that are thrown at you, and or people are like, oh, I love this, that are so new to you that you read them, and then they too can become your favorites. But I feel like the further along you go in your reading journey, the less you have those automatic recs and more that you have to diversify and invest time into finding creators who align with your reading interests, and or who you just find really interesting and would take a book rec from and then read books from there, and then it becomes hit or miss, and you're refining your interests and tastes in books, which is where I am currently. So instead of my favorite, I thought I would give you 3 books that I enjoyed reading that I don't necessarily see a lot of people talking about, or maybe I've missed them on the interwebs. But we have Modern Divination, Footballista, and Anywhere You Go. Modern Divination, this is the indie published version of this. It is now trad published along with an audiobook. I picked this up when it was still indie published, obviously. And I put it down because I was in the space where, due to my dyslexia or just not having the brain width to just focus on reading without my brain floating away, I needed an audiobook. And since this is indie published, it didn't have an audiobook. And so I waited until I got one, it published, and I got it from the library. And come to find out that this book went through, I believe, some major revisions. Because if you have the old audiobook for Bone Season and you've read the new Bone Season, the only thing that's really different is things are flipped, a different word is used. But overall, the structure of the book is still the same. I could not tandem read this at all. So I mostly listened to the audiobook for this. You have our main character, Aurelia. I don't remember what his name is, and on the back of here it does not say. But she's a witch. She has to hide that she's a witch. I think she goes to one of them fancy smancy schools. It's giving Oxford, it's giving grimy, gloomy, Scotland, England type vibe. Is that factual? I have no idea because I can't remember. But he's a grumpy, arrogant classmate that she thinks hates her, and does he? So they have to, of course, go on a mission together, do something. The fate of the world relies upon what? Just them. And there is a hint of romance in here. I feel like it's mostly fantasy with a subplot of romance. But I really enjoyed my time in this book. Then we have Anywhere You Go. What was fun about this, mostly for me, is that you follow 2 characters and their romantic journeys through the book. They swap lives. So for some reason, they both meet and end up, one goes to the big city, the other one goes into a small town, and then they fall in love with said people in said spaces. And it was a good time. I enjoyed having 2 romances to follow. That was probably my favorite part of the book, is having those 2. And then also some of the family dynamics with one of the character was a reflection of kind of things that I've experienced in my life that I was ooh, that is true, that is fact, that does suck. And then there's a really funny line where they play pickleball, and one of the characters is all oh yeah, I'm a world-class pickleball player, just hamming it up, even though she's not. And then she's like, I've never played pickleball, but I have played tennis. And it's just Yeah, and if you've played tennis, then you can most definitely play pickleball easily. And she wins because obviously if you can play tennis, which is a, not to say that it's a harder sport, but it definitely requires a bit more due to the court space and the speed of which things go. I think a little bit more athletic development than pickleball. But if you love pickleball, girl, pickleball it up. That's no offense to pickleball. It's just like, do you see Serena, was it Serena Williams? After the challengers where she was like, I could definitely play pickleball and win, but you definitely couldn't play tennis and win. That's how I also feel as someone who's played tennis in high school. Lastly, we have futbolista, or soccer. This, you follow, I think our main character is Gabby, the love interest is Val, and they're new adults, they're college freshmen, sophomores of sorts at A&M Corpus Christi. It's the place, takes place in Corpus, how fun. I family in Corpus, and so what was great about reading this was that the romance was good, and it talks about the exploration and bisexuality and like queerness in like Mexican American culture and just like in Mexican culture in general, but also that it took place in Corpus, and it was really nice to like read about a city that I don't feel like a lot of people write about, and to like know different landmarks. I kind of wish there was a little bit more, I wish there was a moment about BoatNet in here personally, because that is such a like pivotal thing for me about Corpus. RIP though, because they don't exist, but it was really good. And since I didn't name them, I think one of them is Tatum and one of them is Eleanor. Which is which? I don't know. That's for you to find out. Then the next question is best sequel. Okay. I feel like this is, well, I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of these currently yet, so I don't know what people are going to say. And I say this is the best sequel because it utterly and completely destroyed me, but Sunrise on the Reaping. Was it going to be anything else? No. Do I have to explain what this book is? This is a prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. This is book, I guess, what is Snow's book, like 0.0.0, and this is like 0.5 before book 1. This book utterly and completely devastated me. I sometimes still think about it and it still makes me so incredibly sad. Well, if you didn't know, this follows his Hamage during his game, which is the 50th, so the second quarter quell. Tough. And it's just so sad because you know how like, you know how he's viewed in the original trilogy and how he's portrayed in the movies, and then to find how he was just so drastically not like that as like a 16-year-old is devastating. And to see all of our characters before the second quarter quell and where they stood mentally, health-wise, family-wise, and to watch what happens to them, or at least you know how they show up in the third quarter quell. Tough. Like, people were calling for what's his face, Phoenix game, and I think, like, sure, one could say things about the things that would happen in Phoenix book, but I think that would be so hard to read. This was so hard, but it was the best. I think this is honestly the only sequel I have read all year long. Yeah. Unless you can consider like interconnected standalones of a romance book, but those don't, in my opinion, count. So this is the best sequel I've read. I'm sure this is on a lot of people's like favorite book. This was not my favorite. I can't say this was a favorite book. This was devastating. Oh, we're just gonna put that there. Okay, the next question is your favorite reread, which I reread The Raven Boys a couple of months ago. I got all the way through and I never picked up The Raven King, which I feel like I need to. But this is my favorite reread. What is it about? You've got the Raven Boys, as you see here, and their girly pop Blue. The synopsis really leads you to think this book is mostly about Blue, and we follow a lot of her like POV. Blue is essentially a non-magical family member of a group of psychics, and she's always kind of been told that whenever she kisses her first true love, or if she kisses her first true love, they will die. And she's lived with this the whole time. She's on she's like assisting one of her like family members and or the people that she lives with on this day where the spirits come across the ley line, and she's essentially, she helps like amplify. And so she's just like, oh yes, 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 helping her, I think maybe her aunt, or I can't fully remember, but she hears Gansey, and she's like, who's that? And you realize she gets then told later on that the only people you ever hear are those who are like your true loves, or those that you kill. And that's so funny, because what? She kills her true love after her first kiss. So Gansey, on the other hand, is looking for a dead king, a dead Welsh king, and he collects people of sorts. So he collects Blue, he collects Adam, who is a poor boy from across the tracks who goes to his private academy. Ronan, who's a rebel rouser, trouble causing ever since his dad died. He ain't give none the fucks. And then Noah, who's in their classes. And I don't know how he collects Noah, but like Noah is there. And so it's a quartet. It's very atmospheric. It's giving fall. It takes place in like, I would assume rural Virginia, in Henrietta, Virginia. So it's given Appalachia. But there's something about these books that are just so atmospheric that I really enjoyed them. So this is my favorite reread. Next is genre you've been loving. Oof. Yo, I've been a romance girly. I've become a romance girly. If you would have told me this time last year that like the last probably 10 books that I've read have been romance, I wouldn't have believed you. Or that's not true. My last recent 10 books are not necessarily romance. And there goes the helicopter? Yeah. Non-stop, let me tell you what. But I have read so much romance this year. I'm not mad at it though. I've enjoyed my time in almost every single one of them. But past me, a year ago me, would be shocked to find out that I haven't touched a fantasy really this year. Instead, I have just chalked it up, loaded it up with romance after romance after romance. So there's that. The next question is, new releases you haven't read but want to. They're huge. These are the new releases that I haven't gotten to. We have Mbessa, The Chosen Wolf. This is an Arcane novel. If you didn't know, I love Arcane. I have the CD set, even though I don't have a Blu-ray player. I have 4 prints on my wall currently of Jinx. I have one of Mel. I have one of Vic. I'm looking at them right now. Of one of Victor and Jace hugging. And then I have one when we get what's his face back in his monster form hugging. Oh my gosh, Isha, Jinx, and Vi. So, of course, when this came out, I was like, I have to. Oh, and then check this out. The hard cover, one has beautiful end pages, right? Oh, the Mandara. But then look at this alternative dust cover. Are you kidding me? I said absolutely sign me up. So, there's that. Do I know what this is about? No. I just know. It's about Mbessa. Just the throne belongs to her and she will claim it. As she does. Next, everybody knows. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I got a 3-hour audio arc of this and I was so into it and I was so sad when it was over. I was like, no, 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 wait. I need more. But have I picked it up since? No, because the audio wait is quite some time. Is months away. So I will read this hopefully when it comes in. Or just wait till I have enough audio credits and I'll just like get it from like Libro. So, do I have to go and tell you? Actually, 3 young women, their bodies planted in the same soil. Their stories tangling like roots. One grows high, one grows deep, one grows wild. They all grow teeth. So, there's that. I feel like I'm getting mixed reviews and I'm like trying to stay away from it because someone said that this is very character driven and not plot driven, and that like one of her more plot driven books is like Vicious, and I loved Vicious, and like it's very plot driven like Addie LaRue, and I did not like Addie LaRue. I DNF'd at like 127 because I was like, for the love of all things in the universe, I do not care what you did 300 years ago. I do not care. I do not care. What are we doing today? So, and then last but not least, we have Gifted and Talented. This is signed and personalized. I went to a Book People event and I had all intention of reading it as soon as I got it, and then I didn't. I let the audiobook lapse. I got to page 31 though. It takes me a minute to sometimes read Olivia Blake. When it's not initially a romance, it takes me a minute to get to it. So this one is about these 3 siblings and their father dies, and I think it has something to do with the way he passes on the company and like the things that they have to go through. I'm not really sure what it says. Money is the family business, magic is the family curse. So this is the other new release that I'd like to get to that I haven't. We'll see how long it takes me to get to these 3 very large fantasies. Well, I guess the Embessa one is not too big, but Gifted and Talented and We Bury Our Bones is a decent size. So the next question, most anticipated release. Okay, I have several of those, but the first thing that I stay thinking about and that I want an e-arc of so badly is Soul Searching. I'll put it here, by Lila Sage. Look, I'm in my romance era, and this one is supposed to be about a tiny, it's like not a duet, but a duology. People who live in this wee bit of ghost town that I think she said is like north of Blue Rebel Ranch when we went to her book signing. And I want to think it's a spirit, but I think I'm confusing that with like a different book where the person falls in love with a spirit. But it's just like a ghost town, and I'm sure they go on adventures and fall in love. I don't know, you see this cover? Hello? Why wouldn't you want to read that? But okay. Next on the docket is biggest disappointment. Oof, this is gonna hurt. Ooh, Wild and Wrangled was my biggest disappointment. It's the last book in the Blue Rebel Ranch quartet. It follows Cam and Dusty. Yeah. As it's a second chance romance as they refall in love as adults and get together. This one is a biggest disappointment because, and maybe this is a me thing that I'm learning about myself, is I don't like spending time in the past. Like, I understand that there is time needed for setup, and I think I could have done with half of these flashbacks. And to me, they weren't even good flashbacks, in the sense, like, she was informed by her editor that she needed more flashbacks. I'd like her editor to come to the front of the stage. Why? Why? Sometimes it was just like lollygaggy, like small day in the lives flashbacks. I don't want that. Give me pivotal moments. Give me their first kiss, the first time maybe they sleep together, a big fight that is a reason why they were always at odds. And then like their breakup, you're telling me that the way in which they break up, he doesn't have any trauma that they need to discuss as adults. I was so distraught. This was honestly going to be a 3. All the other ones are 4s. This was going to be a 3, but the only thing that saved it is the novella at the end about the very first book. What is her name? Emmy. Emmy's wedding day. And then you kind of get, oops, sorry, there's a gnat. You get an update on all the other couples, and I was sobbing. And I was like, all right, 4. I'll give it a 4. But this, biggest disappointment, and this is devastating because I was so pumped. He's emo, he's got tattoos, he listens to My Chemical Romance, he has a crop top, he's got long shaggy hair. Unfortunately, he's blonde, which, why did you have to give this man blonde hair? You should have given him brunette hair like all the rest of them. So, biggest disappointment. Devastating, honestly. Next is, what are your biggest surprises? Okay. My biggest surprises is God of Fury and Lights Out. First of all, I didn't think I was gonna like this. And I think if I'd only read it with my eyeballs, I would have hated this. But the audiobook is so good. I even read Caught Up, and I know people don't like Caught Up. Word on the street is, but it was also fun. She could have done more for sure, but she also could have done less in this one. So I'll take it. This is a stalker romance. Basically, you have our nurse Allie, who is definitely into being stalked and or a mask kink. And then you have, what's his name? Josh? Yeah. Josh, who does masked thirst traps. And he finds a way, he's always had a crush on her. He finds a way to pursue that crush. And they continue on. And it's really, the audiobook, hilarious, dude. Hilarious. I really recommend it. This one, God of Fury. Okay, TikTok got me. I saw a lot of random voice clips for this and I said, this is intriguing. And I thought, could I be into a dark, gay, mafia romance? I can. I can, in fact, be very much into this. This is so good. Check trigger warnings, though, for sure. I mean, check trigger warnings for sure on this one as well. But for this, oh, there is just something about, like, what is it, Bran and Nikolai? They're like opposing families or whatever, but like their vibe, honestly, it could just be the fact that this is duet. And I ate it up for sure. I don't know what's in here because also Kiss the Villain is also yummy and delicious in the same way that I feel like this is. They're both very long books, and for what? There's no, I want to be like, there's no real plot here. There's no plot. And this bad boy is what? 610 pages. And this had too much plot. And this one was 397. Anyways, these are delightful. They're both dark romances, stalker, mafia. This one's gay. This one's straight. Was shocked by my enjoyment of both of them. Because who knew? Not me. Okay, the next two, I don't have an answer for, which is, what is your favorite new author? I don't think I have one. And then your favorite new character? I don't think I have one. I don't think I've been attached to anybody enough. Like, what comes to mind for favorite new character is, like, Venka in Little Thieves. But I think that's because I was so emotionally attached to that story because they're demi. Both characters are demi. And I was just so in it because it was like the first, not necessarily the first time I've read demi rep because I have read it in like fan fictions. But it was like, I was so invested weirdly. Sometimes, you know, when you are in a certain space and you read a book and you are just so emotionally attached to it that like you have to put it in the freezer. Because you're like, ah, if you know the reference. But yeah, I don't think I have a favorite new author or a favorite new character. So, on to the next. A book that made you cry. One day everyone will have been against this. Oof! Oof. I read Sunrise on the Reaping, this book, and the next one I'm probably going to show you back to back to back in a 2-week span. I don't know what I thought I was doing to myself, but it wasn't good. This one, I don't even know how to describe it. It says, this nonfiction debut is the most raw and vulnerable work to date, a heart-sick breakup letter with the West. It is a brilliant articulation of the same breakup we are all watching all over the U.S. In family rooms, on college campuses, on city streets. The consequences of this rupture are just beginning. This book is for all of the people who want something better than what the West has served up. This is the book of our time. Oof. Tough. It's a hard one. And I resonated so deeply with a lot of what it was saying in here. And a lot of the ways that I was feeling. And the ways that I had started to articulate. But hadn't quite yet, like, I don't know, figure it out. This one, I recommend reading this. It is a heavy read, but I feel like if you're living through this time, you definitely should pick this up while you can. All right, the next one is a book that made me happy, which is Ride With Me. This is a Formula 1 romance. You have Stella and Tomas, and they meet at a bachelorette and bachelor party, or a hen and stag party if you're not of the US, and they accidentally get married and then have to continue to be married for the benefit of their own reputations and PR, one could say. And I really enjoyed my time in here. I think it's because I had lower expectations. I did not really like Cross the Line. Like, Cross the Line wasn't bad, it wasn't great, I didn't mind it, but I liked this one so much more than yeah, crossed the line. And I just was pleasantly surprised, and it might have been my low standards. Next, the most beautiful book you owned. This is the other book that I read when I was reading One Day Everyone Will Be Against This and Sunrise on the Reaping, is Fable for the End of the World. And you can see that's gorgeous. You have the end pages. And this, so currently this is the most beautiful book, or what I deem the most beautiful book I currently own and purchased this year. This is an updated, modernized Hunger Games, Sapphic Hunger Games for sure. The way you get entered in to this game is you have to take out debt, and if you reach like $100,000 of debt or whatever their current currency is, you are selected to be hunted by these angel mechanic things. However, you can put somebody else up for your own debts, and which is horrid, and you have like 2 weeks. So you, this character, what's her name? Do we have a name? No. This doesn't have a synopsis anywhere. She ends up being in the game, and she has 2 weeks to essentially hide. So if you can hide and not be killed within 2 weeks, then you kind of get out scot-free and the debt is wiped. You're also allowed to have somebody with you, and it's televised 24/7 into people's like iPads, because of course. And this angel is in charge of hunting her. This angel also is kind of like on her last thread. It's very much important that it goes right in the unfortunate hunting of said character. It's tough, and it does not have a happy ending in any capacity. It's sad, and I can't believe I read 3 devastating books back to back to back. But I did that, and now we're here. So that is the most beautiful book I own. A book that I need to finish by the end of the year. The Spirit Bares Its Teeth. I got halfway, where is it? Halfway through this book, and I let my audiobook lapse in this because I couldn't take it. I picked it up, one, because I saw the girly pop on the cover, and I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't think this author wrote about girly pops. I was intrigued by the first chapter, and I was like, oh, I need to keep reading. I did not read the author's note. I think the author's note stuck together when I opened this, and so I didn't read it. That would have provided me with the trigger list that was important for knowing what this book is and the vibe. And I was okay. So there's a certain thing that was said and that I think may be happening, and I hope that it's not going to happen to our main character, because I think I might vomit, because that is just something like I cannot do. But I also want to finish the book because where I'm at, like, just something kind of gruesome happened that I was just like, ooh, no. So I paused, and then I never came back to it, because then it was just like a oof. I have to. But this one, you have, well, I guess I said girly pop because I didn't want to ruin it, but it says on the back here, this is not a girly pop. This is in fact a man. It's Silas, and Silas has violet eyes, and essentially people with violet eyes can contact the veil. However, they're not allowed to, because as you can see, said person is being perceived as a woman, and therefore women are too vulnerable. They're too weak. They're too fragile. Only big, strong men can talk to the veil. And so he knows that he's going to be sold off to the highest bidder to then have babies, so that these men can have violet-eyed children and hopefully have violet-eyed sons to continue on this legacy, because it's a very important thing. He ends up doing some things to try to get out of the situation, which lands him in essentially like a preparatory school, but that preparatory school is in a sense not that for sure, and horrible things are afoot. And while he's there, I believe he's going to probably solve what happens, I'd imagine, because he can touch the veil. He'll see the spirits, and the spirits have teeth because they can bite and they have something to say. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's heavy, but really good, like well written. It's a lot. I like, look at all the dog ears. Because I'm like, yes, there's something about his fear of pregnancy And the way he feels about it is the same way I feel about it. And if it would happen in my body, I just happen not to feel like a trans man. Or not feel, I'm not a trans man, but it feels very identical to how I, as a cis woman, feel about pregnancy, for sure. And the fear of becoming pregnant. That just hangs over your head from the moment you menstruate. The last question is favorite community members. I think I'll have their tags here. That's all I have for the mid-year tag. Let me know if you have a favorite book this year. What is your favorite book? I guess you can leave it in the comments if you so desired. I hope you enjoyed this. If you didn't, you know, live your best life. Who am I to tell you who and what to like? Anyways, catch you guys in the next one. Bye.